Anatomy assignment resub, Charlie Taylor. The spawn example of when you would use the ball and socket joint is when you are a bowler in cricket. When they bowl, the joint would allow them to have full movement of circumduction at the shoulder so that they are able to get the power into the throw, making it faster and harder for the batter to make a good hit. Comparisons between saddle and gliding joints. Gliding joints are associated with small bones such as in your hands and or the ankles. They allow many movements in a range of directions. Similarly to this, saddle joints are also based around small bones in the thumb, which allows the movement of the thumb when grabbing something. For example, when holding a dart, the joint in your thumb assists with the grip. Comparison between saddle and condyloid joint. The similarity between both joints is that they both allow the same movements. However, condyloid joint also allows circumduction. Another similarity is that they both use two specific bones to create a joint. Comparison between ball and socket and condyloid joints. The similarity between these two joints is that they both allow similar movements. They both allow flexion, extension, adduction, abduction, and circumduction. However, the ball and socket joint also allows rotation, whereas condyloid joints don't allow this movement. This means that the ball and socket joint will allow a swimmer to do a front crawl more effectively as it shows the movement of rotation, whereas the condyloid joint wouldn't allow this movement. Comparison between condyloid and gliding joints. A difference between these two joints is that the structure of a condyloid joint is much different to the structure of a gliding joint. A condyloid joint is where the head of one bone fits into another bone, whereas a gliding joint structure is more unique and has more flat shape to allow the bones to slide over each other. Comparison between hinge and saddle joints. These two joints are very similar, however saddle joints provide more range of movement than the hinge joint. Both joints allow flexion and extension, however the saddle joint also allows adduction and abduction. Comparison between a pivot joint and a hinge joint. The difference is that the movement that these joints allow are very different movements which are used for different things. For example, a pivot joint allows supination and pronation, whereas a hinge joint allows flexion and extension. These movements are very different as the pivot joint is side to side and the hinge joint is up and down. Comparison between hinge joint and ball and socket joint. The difference between these two joints is that the ball and socket joint provides a range of movements, whereas the hinge joint only allows two movements. The similarity of these two joints is that the structure of the joints are very similar. For a ball and socket joint, there are two bones. One has a rounded end which fits into another, which has a rounded socket so that they fit perfectly together, whereas the hinge joint is created by two bones, one with a cylinder shape at the end and other bone having a trough-shaped dent in it for the bone to fit into. These are very similar structures, however they both have different shaped ends of the bones used.